late entry, or you've been thinking about this? What got you into the race?
Oh, we got into the race. The Independent Party is trying to statewide run more of our own candidates. What we have tended to do in the past is if it's a Republican-controlled town, and cross-endorse Democrats, and if it's a Democrat-controlled town, endorse Republicans. However, this particular election cycle, we had grave concerns about the Republican candidate, and so in the case of minor parties like the Independent Party, if you don't put somebody on the ballot, you lose it. You'll have to petition all over again. And so, quite frankly, it was just easy enough to continue the flame burning for an Independent Party line. There isn't anything that hasn't happened in Norwalk over the last 18 years that the state senator doesn't have his fingers on. So just about everything that I've held the mayor accountable for, our state senator is as well.
You've taken several bites at the apple as far as running for mayor. What, if anything's different? How do you think you're going to match up against your opponent this time?
Oh, Bob has a 95% chance of being reelected. I have zero chance, but that's not why I'm running. And those who try to take pot shots at me for being the perennial candidate, I'm about an independent party and a genuine third party movement in this city, in this state, and in this country. The extremism that's brewing from the two parties, both whether left or right, you've probably heard of the Forward Party with Andrew Yang and Christine Todd Whitman, not left, not right, but forward. I subscribe to that, and I just consider myself to be one of the warriors. And it's not about me winning, it's about educating the electorate on election reform, on closed primaries, on ballot access, on gerrymandering, on all the things that basically ensure that incumbents get back into office 95% of the time. And in the case of Norwalk, it's single party rule. And like what happened tonight, my comment was less about Colin, and my signing of the petition was less about Colin and more about just the dangers of having 9 people on the same party and kind of a groupthink mentality. And so ideas that might not be fully fleshed out are put in front of the public because no one's challenged or questioned them. And the one thing about having a healthy 2-party or 3-party system, if those folks can get elected and we have more proportional representation as opposed to first past the post, is that you get better ideas, better solutions before they're put in front of the public.
Okay, that said, do you have actual disagreements with your opponent? Are there areas where you'd say, I would do it different than he's doing it?
Yes, I think Senator Duff has done a lot for school construction projects, but he hasn't done much for educational cost sharing, which is where we struggle because of funding. Funding by the formula, which he's been a part of for almost 2 decades, is based upon property values and income levels, not necessarily on the child. We've got a higher degree of poverty than when my children started 15 years ago. We were at 23% free and reduced lunch. We're now almost 65%, yet we're getting fractionally more. And so funding for schools and bricks and mortar that enriches developers. We know that the school construction man, Mr. Diamandis, is under investigation from the FBI. There's a study out. It probably won't come out till after the election. But getting money for school construction like Norwalk High versus getting school dollars for reading, writing, and arithmetic is unacceptable. So I disagree on that policy with the senator. And I simply want to highlight that so people understand where the dollars are really going. And like I said, I believe that the current Republican candidate is too far right. And that's the problem. And we suffer locally because of some of the struggles of the Republican Party. Being too far to the right leaves us with single party rule. And that's just as dangerous, quite frankly. So I'm trying to push folks back to the middle, and I'm part of a bigger movement. It's bigger than whether I win or lose, and it's more about trying to bring this to the people over and over again and voters so that they understand.
What is the success of the Independent Party as far as picking up membership? Where are you seeing support?
Well, our independent candidate we just survived a lawsuit from the Republican Party trying to kick our independent gubernatorial candidate off the ballot. He just participated in the debate this afternoon up in Hartford with Governor Lamont and Bob Stefanowski. You are seeing an increasing number of people looking towards a third party. I think there's a survey out that says I think 43% of Americans, the Forward Party put this out nationally, this is the Andrew Yang and Christine Todd Whitman's group put out, 43% of Americans are dissatisfied with the two major parties. Up from somewhere in the 30 or 40%, but up from like 6% in the 90s. And about 38-40% want to see more parties. We need more choice. More voices means more choices and means better, healthier dialogue. Again, right now, what we've seen over the last couple of election cycles is extreme policy from the right and extreme policy from the left. And I'm about not right, not left, but forward and in the middle. And like I said, I think there's been too much done to Norwalk where we haven't benefited. It's benefited the party, it's benefited the state, but it hasn't benefited our city. And that's what I want to hold Senator Duff accountable for and to answer for some of those things. But we need to have voters more educated. Voters don't know what they don't know. As I just said to this group of people, we're one of only 3 towns that does not have minority party representation. I argue what happened today with the Board of Education wouldn't have happened if you'd had a couple of opposing voices to perhaps raise their hand and say, have we really thought this through? But because, like I said, everybody's in the same party, the same group, we all, one for all for one, and sometimes things aren't completely thought through.
So if I understand what you're telling me, for the Board of Ed, for example, you're saying that there would be some sort of forced situation where there would have to be multiple members representing multiple parties on the board. It couldn't be an all Democratic or...
Most other towns have provisions in their charter for what we call minority party representation. Danbury recently changed their charter about 20 years ago because they didn't have it. Because we have kind of representatives from each of the districts, the way we've carved up Norwalk in terms of one representative from each of the 5 districts if it's the Board of Ed, and then 4 at large. You couldn't deal with the individual districts, the 5 districts, but you could deal with the 4 at large. And you could say that maybe one of those individuals has to be from another party. Same thing with the Common Council. The at-large representatives, a couple of them would have to be from another party. You have it with boards and commissions.
Right.
We don't have it with our elected representatives. And like I said, we're one of only a couple of towns that doesn't have it. And you can see what's happened in Norwalk over the course of a decade of not having any real opposition or any voice.